Okay. I'll say it again in a minute. Okay, so you got x, -2, 1 over x squared is 1 over quantity -2 squared. -2 squared is -2 times -2. -2 times -2 is 4. So there it is, you get 1/4. You can figure that out if you can figure this out. Okay, steps are exactly the same, but we'll have -1s there. One over the square of -1/2 is 1 divided by -1/2 times -1/2. -1/2 times -1/2, well, it's two fractions. You multiply the numerators and you multiply the denominators. Numerators are both -1, so you get 1. Denominators are both 2, so you get 4. 1 divided by 1/4 can be written this way, and that's 1 times 4 over 1 equals 4, using the rules of fractions that you should familiarize yourself with. Okay. I think I've said in here before, people are really bad at fractions coming out of our prerequisite courses in public schools. Because you do it all by calculator, you never know what you're doing. Never learn what you're doing. Which really gets in your way around section 3.4 or something like that in pre-calculus, okay? 0, 1 over 0 is undefined. I'm pretty sure I said it here. The reason 1 divided by 1/4 is 4 is not because of this rule. This rule is because of the reason. The reason is you can count to 1 by 1/4. How many 1/4 do you need to make 1? Okay, well, you count. 1/4 and 1/4 is a half. A half and a fourth is 3/4. 3/4 and a fourth is 1. Or think of $1 in quarters. Okay, quarters are fourths of $1. How many does it take to make $1? You count to $1 by quarters. Okay, you get 4. So one quarrel I have with our whole curriculum is, at some point in elementary school, you're actually taught that. And then never use it again until you get to college. Okay? So nobody understands, nobody even seems to know, very few people seem to know that 1 over 0 is undefined, much less why. Now the why is, can you count to 1 by zeros? How far do you get if you're counting by zeros?
0.
You never get anywhere. Many times as you want. You can add zeros together, you never get to 1. That's why it's undefined. It's a simple idea. If you understand what it means to divide by a fraction, and not just to apply a rule, or even worse, just punch it in your calculator. And if you don't understand that, it's going to get in your way when you're trying to understand pre-calculus and asymptotes and stuff like that. Okay? So, it's very important. I stress it again. I urge you to be sure you're up to speed on fractions. Find the exercise in fractions and do it. Advice, not required. Okay, anyhow, 1 over 1/2 squared is 1 over 1/2 times 1/2, which is 1 over 1/4. And now for the same reasons we have here, that gives us 4. 1 gives you 1 over 1 squared, which is 1. 2 gives you 1 over 2 squared, which is 1 over 4. So now we graph. Now you notice that all of these results are positive. One thing I see a lot of when we do this is you put negative numbers in these because these are negative numbers. Well, I know, because you're squaring those negative numbers, which gives you a positive result, right? You've got to be careful about that. It's real tempting to do that. I'd say at some point I've written it down that way, okay? And maybe in the last year or two in class or something, I'll write it down because I'm not thinking. I'll catch it right away, but I'm better at catching things than you guys are, okay? I've had the opportunity to make a lot more mistakes than you have, so I'm better at catching them. Okay, so here, you don't need negative numbers, so I don't have to extend the axis way down to -4. I drew it that way because I didn't want to tip you off, okay? I wanted to see what you did with it, but perfectly okay. Yeah, it'd be perfectly okay to use that because then you get the insight that you don't need that negative axis on this one, negative y-axis, okay? Okay, so there are the numbers. Now we're going to need other numbers, you know, because we're going to need like 1/4 for a y value. Well, here's 1. Where's 1/2? Halfway between 1 and 0. Where's 1/4? Halfway between 1/2 and 0. Okay? Now, I didn't do a great job of that. Take 4 of these, and it's not a really great 1/4, but try to do better. I'm glad if you show off. Okay? So now, to plot the points. -2, 1/4. Here's -2, here's 1/4, here's -2, 1/4. Now, I'm not going to teach you how to plot points. Okay? If you don't know how to plot points, go see the marks. Okay? Because I don't even want to teach you how to do that outside of class because it's such a prerequisite. And they can explain it as well as I can, leaving me more time to give you feedback on your homework and so forth. Not that I don't want you to come if you're having a problem. If you have an honest problem with homework, you don't understand how to interpret a problem, you can come and ask. I'll be glad to straighten you out, or you're welcome to email me. Okay? But if you haven't been through the exercise in fractions, and you haven't gotten a little help on how to plot points, first place, it might mean that you're already in over your head because your background isn't good enough, okay? Might mean that you want to drop back to an MDE 60, which will increase your chances of success in a 61 and a 62. 61, 161. Take an extra semester to get through your math, but better to get through it correctly. Now, I don't want anybody to do that right now. Let's see how you can do with some of these different topics, because you might adapt to it real quickly, even if your background really is deficient, okay? But consider the possibility, okay? We want to do what's going to lead you to success. And we want to find out by next week if you might be in the wrong place here, okay? Absolutely necessary that you know this. Now, you know, if you've got a really good aptitude, you can pick up on these things. It's really easy to know how to plot points, okay? Which advice I go to the mark, they'll straighten you out in 5 minutes. You know what I mean by the mark, right? Been through the orientation. If you don't know, it's in the library. Just past the testing center. Just go past the front desk. Somebody at the front desk wears the mark, okay? But you probably had a tour and saw it on orientation. Not everybody remembers everything they see in orientation, okay? If you really can't find it, come find me. If you can find me, I'll walk over there with you. I'll introduce you to Juliana and the tutor. Okay? Glad to do that for you. And if you've just got one simple question about how to plot points, I'll be glad to answer it, okay? But if you really need somebody to sit down with you for 15 or 20 minutes and do it, it's better use of my time than I post the videos, give you feedback on homework and stuff like that. I'm not discouraging you from coming by. We'll have you work in the appropriate place, okay? Yeah, if you have trouble understanding the terminology of these things, what's a basic reciprocal square function, what's a basic reciprocal function, yeah. Come in, I'll go over with you. Okay? I'm always glad to do it. Okay, so the really fundamental prerequisites. You've got to focus on what you need in order to understand intermediate algebra, okay? We're spending a month on stuff that you should already know, theoretically, because I know that people at this stage don't know it, okay? We really would ideally already be into intermediate algebra. We're really into something that's just barely past pre-algebra right now. But we're going to move through it quickly. So you'll see how you're doing. Okay, so anyhow. -2, 1/4. And, you know, you're welcome to point out when I do something stupid, like leave a negative sign off. Probably need a pre-algebra course or something. Okay, so here's -1, and that gives you 1, so -1, 1. -1/2, 4. Kind of an inconvenient place, but I had to put the 4 somewhere. 1/2, 4. 1, 1. And 2, 1, 4. There are the points. That's it. Now, I said it last time. Say it again. You can then draw a curve, but whatever you do, don't try to connect this point with this point. Because if you do, wherever you go through the y-axis, that's where x is 0, and all of a sudden you've said that no, 1/0 isn't undefined. It's whatever that y-coordinate is where this thing goes through the axis. Can't be, because all of a sudden you've just claimed that I can count to 1 by zeros, and here's the answer. Okay? So I see a lot of graphs. You get up here and then kind of wiggle around and try to get back there. I don't think I saw any here because, of course, you were just plotting points. Okay? That's a real important idea, and it leads to the idea of asymptotes, which we'll talk about later because that is a bit of a thorny topic in pre-calculus. Most people that come into pre-calculus simply don't understand very well, okay? And you know, there's some reason for that. It's not a trivial concept. Okay, so we want to lay the foundation for understanding asymptotes by understanding this graph and the fact that it doesn't connect. The left side doesn't connect to the right because you can't go through the y-axis because the y-axis is where x equals 0. Okay? It's a little bit of a mouthful, a little bit of a handful to understand that, so yeah, think on it a little bit.